I'd like to introduce our last Gray Sheet couple, Stephanie and Victor.
Thank you, Kay. My name's Stephanie. I'm a compulsive eater. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the Gray Sheet. I commit those to my sponsor or another qualified Gray Sheeter before I eat them. I don't eat in between no matter what. Abstinence is the most important thing. My abstinence date is April 12th, 2001, which is a day after I turned 31 that year. Gosh, before I wrote a bunch of stuff down, but who knows? Victor and I met at a tattoo shop because we were the most frequent clients, just customers of this place. And he was awfully hot. He, you know, I tried to hit on him, but he didn't believe me because I saw some pictures of him earlier than that. And I guess he was bigger then, you know, he had started working out then. And so I didn't, you know, he probably thought he was still big. But anyway, so we were friends for a couple of years before we started dating. And it was bizarre because I met him there and then I'd see him. He would ride several hundred miles a day on his 1-speed bicycle, and I'd see him like when I'm standing at the bus stop, or I got clean in 1988, and our NA meetings would go to this restaurant where he cooked, and he'd cook my dinner, and I'd be like, boy, that looks good. And the other people would be like, how come mine doesn't look that good? And the waitress would be like, well, he cooked hers, you know, he just had a shift change or something. And so it was really strange how our paths crossed at different places. But I remember when we first started, one of those times I was Gray Sheet abstinent for 12 years before I got abstinent in 2001. I tried to get abstinent in Gray Sheet. It wasn't all the time, but I was definitely a chronic relapser. And Kay was there every step of the way at the meetings when I would return. And she looked so young and vibrant and was still there. It would drive me crazy because I really wanted to, you know, vilify women in recovery, you know, that for some reason I wanted to picture them as judging me or something. It was just really crazy when I was, you know, the harshest person to myself, really. But so when we started dating, before we got abstinent, my weight got worse because I found someone who would accept me fat and eat as much as I do. So it was definitely, as was described earlier, the table next to the bed with 2 sides and yours and mine. And, you know, I would buy 6 and I would eat 4 and tell them, you know, here's 1 left over for you. You know, it was like the worst thing for me was the lying about what I had eaten. Like if I ate lunch at my favorite restaurant and then he's like, do you want to go there? I'd be like, oh my gosh, are those people going to remember I ate there at lunch? You know, it was terrible lying about my food to my soulmate, you know, but we were definitely eating buddies. And he also, you know, being a sous chef, won my heart cooking because before that in Gray Sheet, I was like the canned Gray Sheeter, very horrible, low maintenance, not planning and preparing and shopping and chopping like I should. I didn't learn how to cook. I didn't, you know, take advice or ask for what I needed to take care of myself. And so I, you know, ate like the probably #1 meals, you know, on purpose or something. I didn't understand enjoying my food. So by 2001, we'd been together like 10 years by then. Is that right?
Yep.
So let's see. Yeah. So we were eating buddies and I tried to practice fat acceptance together. You know, I could always admit I was powerless over my weight, but I couldn't say I was powerless over food for some reason. And for some reason, I thought I've got to find a way to lose weight without sacrificing what I wanted to eat because I felt entitled. I thought, hey, I'm a good person. I haven't been arrested. I got a good job. You know, if I'm nice, isn't it okay to have this one vice? I mean, everybody has this one vice. Why should I have to stop eating what I want? And it was really having to come to terms with, I was never going to get abstinent based on thinking someone else was judging me. It had to be me, you know, admitting utter and complete defeat that I'm miserable the way I was. And that's what it took. So we tried to get abstinent together a few times, but really I was quite a bully as a wife. And I hope I'm not that bad now, but I think I would bully us into eating, you know, especially if I could say I was PMSing or something. And so I would talk him into, let's just go eat or whatever. And I had to learn how to keep my eyes on my own plate. And so that last time I saw a GreySheeter at this huge cafeteria at the state office building where I worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a GreySheet. I could try that again. That worked before. And all I had was 62 days for 12 years. That's the most I'd had, but it was the only thing that ever relieved that obsession and compulsion. So I came home and said, I know we got this dinner tonight for my birthday, but I'm going to try that GreySheet thing again tomorrow. And you do whatever you have to do. It's none of my business. I've got to keep my eyes on my own plate. So I would start weighing and measure on my own, and definitely have to have my own sponsor, my own program. We can't sponsor each other, of course. And so the cons of being with another compulsive eater, we might talk, this is like the Sid and Nancy version for a while. We could talk each other into relapse, and that happened. And there's just the risk of relapse due to codependency and enabling. And I think it was that, being so mean, if I were him, I'd be like, gosh, do I have to put up with this another day? I guess I'm gonna have to let her eat, or, something. What was amazing was after about a year of being abstinent, I told him I was going to go eat. And if I couldn't eat it here in our apartment, I'm just going to go get a hotel room. And he said, I think you need to call somebody. And that was like the first time where I couldn't talk him into eating. And it worked. It was amazing that I'm so grateful I didn't go to a horrible motel down the street, because that was pretty dangerous over there. But so the really cool thing about being abstinent together is all the pros of recovery in any relationship. This is the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. And I know that I shouldn't rely on him, as a sponsor or but that backup is there to support me in, whatever I need from that I need to ask my sponsor about. And it forced me to work on codependency around food and weight. And it's really cool. I'm not the only GreySheeter in tough situations like funerals together, air flights, being with another GreySheeter that can help with that. We've had like emergency landings on an airplane or something. And both recognizing the sacred mealtime and that it's a priority, and that we have simple dishware. It's amazing. I don't have to have fancy dishware. And I'm a real control freak, so it's just amazing to try to learn how to not give unsolicited advice and allow him to have his own experiences, especially around cooking. I'm so jealous. This is a person that knows how to cook. I hate cooking. I don't even want to be taught cooking, but I think it's important for me to weigh and measure my own food, when possible. Like 14 years ago, I fell and broke both my wrists, and he had to do a lot of that for months. And I had 6 surgeries and plates and screws and all that. And so literally, waking up in the hospital, he's feeding me GreySheet food. And it's just amazing to think, who would do that? How many other people would do that? And I'm a terrible backseat driver. He even had to drive me around. It was just horrible. That was a real turning point in, what kind of person do I want to be in recovery? Because before that, I was a pretty cranky person to be around. So it's just a real gift to be around someone that's, taking care of himself. He eats totally different food than I do, and it's none of my business, And so it's neat to keep my comments to myself, or, every once in a while I might graciously ask, wow, what are you doing with that? That's interesting. My sponsee might like that or whatever. And it's just really neat to be around someone so educated about food that's, enjoying what he's doing, and, showing me what little, I have such resistance to that I'm grateful I'm not eating out of cans anymore on GreySheet, because we don't have to do that unless you want to. So, oh gosh, and poor Eileen, I lost Eileen. Where'd she go? Poor Eileen. Oh, was it time? My time's up. What about, I'm talk way too much.
Okay.
Time is up. Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
My name is Victor. I'm a compulsive eater. Weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the GreySheet. Committed to a sponsor. Weigh and measure without exception. Since this is the most important thing in my life. And thank you, Stephanie. Wow, and it's like, she said Sid and Nancy, and that's basically what it was like. It's just like two heroin addicts. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to get clean today. And, sneaking around. It's like, you're eating again and you didn't invite me, you know? And, you know, I try to buy, and I would try to buy food that she didn't like, that I liked, so that she wouldn't eat it because it was for me, you know? And I'm pretty sure it was vice versa too. Um, and, you know, it was like, thank you. And, you know, being in the food, it's just like, so for like the first half of our marriage, it was like we were eating constantly, and just, I don't remember a whole lot. I mean, man, I remember certain things, right? But there's a lot of it is just like, you know, over my head, because I was just I was just so medicated, you know, and you know, and trying to get abstinent. And there was times when she, you know, I would follow her to meetings, but I was just not willing to do that, you know. I'm not as bad, you know. I can exercise my way through this, you know. I can, you know, I rode my bike hundreds of miles a day. I can do it again, you know, and I can lose the weight. Because I just wasn't willing to give it up. And I think that it's that I wasn't in that gift of desperation, you know. I wasn't at that jumping off point. I wasn't ready for that, you know, to take that, you know, going, I wasn't ready to make that choice yet. Go on to the bitter ends, you know, or find a new solution. And it wasn't, and I think it's all in that, okay, I'm ready to do it. And it wasn't until I was ready to do it was I going to get abstinent. And, you know, I worked in a restaurant for the first part of my recovery, and you know, being able to get the food I needed was pretty easy. You know, I could just go in the walk-in and get what I needed, and they had scale there, which is surprising. Most restaurants have scales, but they hardly ever get used because, you know, they say it's portion control, but bullshit, that's not portion control. So, you know, I was able to weigh what I needed at the restaurant and whatnot. And we've been through a lot, you know, like she was saying, she broke her arms, and, you know, I was like, she had 2 casts, so she couldn't, like, you know, it was just like, you know, something out of Monty Python. She couldn't get it to her mouth, you know. It was, you know, and so I had to take care of myself first, you know, so I'd weigh and measure all my food, get everything ready, and then I'd take care of her, you know, and we'd do what we needed to do. And it was, and she took care of me while, you know, I got my appendix ruptured, and she brought my food to the hospital. And at that time I was, you know, I was a lot younger, so I was eating a lot more food on GreySheet. And so she was having to, you know, bring like a crap load of food to the hospital. And, you know, it was, but, you know, having that person there, it's, I think our relationship is so much stronger now than it was before, because it's that honesty with the food, and I guess the honesty in relationship too, you know. You know, and she had that accident not that long ago, when we were roller skating. Just she broke her arms roller skating. We went back roller skating. Now she knocked herself out, and it was like I thought she was dead. It was the scariest fucking thing. And I'm like, fucking, don't you die on me. And I'm so glad she's okay, you know, because 1 minute, thank you. because this life is this is a life, you know I have a life that's second to none, and it's because I have a wonderful relationship with someone who gets me, and that understands when I'm in that self obsession, and knows that, and just understands. And I'm grateful that, I'm grateful to be absent. I'm grateful for everyone here, and it's very humbling to be asked to do this. It's always humbling to be asked to speak, because I just don't. A lot of times I'm like, I just don't. Every time, I put some days together, but I'm still a newcomer. You know what I mean? It's like every day is like a new day to do this. And I have to remember that. It's like today I've been abstinent all day today so far, it's like, and I need to remember that. It's like tomorrow, it's like, this guy at a NA meeting, that's what he says, been clean all day. And that's the important thing. I'm abstinent today. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and I can't rest on my laurels. I gotta, like the big book says, I can't rest on my laurels. I gotta take my action today. And with that, I will pass.